Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 29th, and right now we're looking at the Doppler radar here across western Washington as some snow is already starting to fly across the Puget Sound all the way down towards Chehalis and Centralia down there. You can see these bands of precipitation moving across the region here. And on the right here, you can see the infrared satellite imagery as our storm drops down the west coast of North America here towards western Washington. You can see this precipitation starting to overrun southwest BC, western Washington. That will continue on during the day today, and hoping for some snowfall mainly north of Seattle today. But as I said, there's some snowfall accumulating across some of the Puget Sound already this morning. It's already sticking on the street here at my house a little bit. But now taking a look here, you can see the storm diving down, the cold air spilling off the coast of southeast Alaska here, bringing that storm into the region here. And we're going to continue some snow chances even for the lowland as we go on in through Thursday morning as well, with the potential for some cooler air staying around us here across British Columbia through the extended. Let's just jump right into things here. We're looking at dew point temperatures now. We got some evaporative cooling going on out there. So you see these dew point temperatures down into the 20s, in some cases the teens. As you get precipitation into this air mass here, it evaporates, cools, and it can lower the temperature down to below freezing, and that's what helps give us some of the accumulating snowfall across the region this morning. If you look further east, look at all this dry air into eastern Washington. Plenty cold enough for snow out there. It's just a matter of where the best precipitation amounts are going to fall. We'll take a look at that coming up here. Also, potential for snow all the way down through Oregon Cascades, Rocky Mountains, especially the higher terrain of northeast Oregon here, higher terrain of British Columbia as well. Looking at things here, you can see the winter storm warnings for much of the Washington Cascades here, winter storm watch for the Oregon Cascades, high wind warnings for some of the coast, wind advisories. Some big winds are going to come through here tonight as well. We'll look at those wind potential here coming up here. Winter weather advisory for much of the Puget Sound currently, portions of Idaho, Montana, winter storm watch for the Idaho Panhandle as well, Spokane. Now, taking a look at things a little bit closer here, you can see the National Weather Service generally calling for less than an inch here. And for Seattle, we're already getting a couple tenths here down towards where I am in Normandy Park and SeaTac. You can see Everett 3 to 4, Mount Vernon 1 to 2, Bellingham 1 to 2. But look at some of these snowfall totals in the mountains. Get up with any elevation here, and you really start to pile up the snow. Look at North Bend 6 to 8. Snoqualmie Pass could get up towards 2 feet. Paradise up to 4 feet possible. Stevens Pass 1.5 feet. Some nice snowfall totals coming up here. The Olympics are going to get coated quite well too. Hurricane Ridge up to 2 feet. Now taking a look here, Pendleton, Oregon. So checking this out. Heavy snow Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday evening. Highway I-90, Highway 212. Watch out, have travel plans. Be prepared for winter driving across the area, especially the higher terrain. Now taking a look here, this is for Spokane. Check out Spokane through Thursday afternoon, up to a foot as possible, Wilbur included. Highway 2 is going to get more than I-90 as you can see, but still some winter driving conditions for Ellensburg, Moses Lake, and Ritzville as we go on in through Thursday. And yeah, look at some of these accumulations also highlighted in this graphic too for the mountain passes. So watch out if you are traveling. And then as you go on east through Idaho and Montana, it's going to be no different. Very difficult travel conditions are going to be out there through Wednesday night on in through Thursday. Now taking a look here, winter storm watch all the way down through Oregon here as well. Look at some of these totals. Crater Lake up towards 2 feet coming up here. You can see Klamath Falls 4 to 6 here. The Siskiyous are going to get some snow here, especially with any kind of increase in your terrain around the area. Down towards Silver Lake 2 to 3, Warner Mountain 6 to 8 here. Northern California is going to get some good snowfall amounts too. Mount Shasta City up over a foot as well. So taking a look here, I want to show you guys the storm system here. You can clearly see the warm air this is going to try to bring in as we go through tonight across the area. And you can see it kind of warm up areas across western Washington and try to push that up towards southwest BC. And there's going to kind of be a cutoff here where that warm air reaches and then kind of retreats back. And then by Thursday morning, there's another chance for some precipitation in the form of snow around some of western Washington here. You can see the cold air remaining up, bottled up there in British Columbia, but some of it is out here in, interacting with western Washington as we speak. And that's why we're getting the accumulating snowfalls this morning. And you can see as we go on into, this is Friday afternoon here, another storm system out here trying to tap some more Arctic air and bring it down to the region. We'll take a look at that and extend it a little bit here. Now taking a look at what kind of winds we can expect briefly here. Going to the NAM 3cam high resolution models. We go through tonight, you can see Seattle at 43. Some strong southeast winds across San Juan County here, straight to Georgia, Washington, Oregon coast, some of the higher terrain. Look at Tacoma and Olympia could get some gusts up towards 50 miles per hour according to the NAM 3KM here. put this into motion, you can see some pretty good winds coming through eastern Washington, also through Wednesday morning as well, which could bring some blowing snow across the area. I thought I should highlight that as well. Now taking a look at the HRRR high resolution model, 3 kilometer. You can see the big winds coming through tonight, southeast winds really ripping across some of the portions of Whidbey Island here, right along the coastline near Bellingham, and you can see this really move up the Strait of Georgia here, Hurricane Ridge, Washington, Oregon coast getting some good winds, gusts to 60 miles per hour as possible. The HRRR shows 50 for Seattle as these southerlies start to blast up through the Puget Sound later on tonight and very early to Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning. But look at Olympia and Tacoma down there showing some pretty good winds. I wonder if this is overdoing it by a little bit, but still be aware that could cause some nuisance power outages. Then you can see some gusty winds moving through eastern Washington, the higher terrain as well. What a dynamic winter storm we have going through the area, folks. Now taking a look here, this is the European 10-meter max wind gust. I'm just going to fly through this really quick. You can see Washington, Oregon coast favored. Olympia and Tacoma still mid and upper 40s here. Seattle lesser winds, but you can see the strong southeasterly is going to rip across the San Juan County here, up through the Strait of Georgia, and just maybe get the Puget Sound coastline up here and Whidbey Island. And then going on through Friday, doesn't show as much wind here through eastern Washington, but some of the higher terrain, especially for eastern Oregon here, are going to get some good amounts. But look at that storm system. We'll worry about that one later, though. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Now, let's take a look at 2-meter dew point temperature on the European. You can see as we go on through this morning, that's why this precip is starting out as snow. It's falling through the column, the atmosphere here, and it's cooling the column all the way down to the surface here and allowing for that sticking snow as we go on in through this morning here. You can see that drier, colder air remain up here, but they're going to be dealing with some lesser precipitation amounts the further you go north here, even though it will be drier and colder. So the favorite area with precipitation amount moving in is probably going to be North Seattle, Snohomish County here. It's not a classic convergent zone setup here. This is just the greatest rates of precipitation interacting with some of this cool and dry air across the region here. I don't want to get anybody confused. This is not a convergent zone setup here across north of Seattle. That's not why this greatest snowfall amounts are occurring there. Now, taking a look here, this is the warm front. It's kind of an overrunning event here. You can imagine Portland being down here. Again, Seattle, Everett, Bellingham, and southwest BC. And again, we're going to have some southeast winds moving across the area here. Some of this is going to bank up against the Olympic Mountains here and cause some locally heavier snowfalls as you get towards Port Townsend area. And then these southerly winds are going to be eating away at this cold air mass, which really doesn't have any kind of reinforcing mechanism to it, so it's going to be eaten away as we go through the morning Wednesday, and much of the lowlands will turn to rain at that point. Now taking a look here at NAM 3KM, we put this to the motions this morning. You can see some of that snowfall falling. The rain line quickly gets in towards Seattle here on the NAM, but you can see as the heavier precipitation rates occur here in the afternoon, this could keep it snow right along Seattle here as we go through later this afternoon and this evening here. And you can see it hang on as we go through later tonight. But by Wednesday morning, you can see much of the Puget Sound is turned over to rain here across the area as the frontal system starts to drape down south across Oregon. But big precipitation amounts are going to continue on through the Cascades of Washington and Oregon here through Wednesday morning. And you can see much of the snow here as we go through early Wednesday morning across eastern Washington, northeast Oregon here as well. Some good precipitation amounts going to equal some good snow totals out there for Spokane, places up towards Highway 2 here, and even I-90. Moses Lake probably going to get a good little snowfall out of this, 3 to 4 inches. Now taking a look at this with the HRRR, you can see again this morning that rain line quickly encroaches towards Seattle, and then the heavier precipitation arrives as the front gets closer here as we go through this afternoon and evening here. Kind of keeping some areas Seattle north in the snow. It's going to be a heavy wet snowfall as we go through the afternoon here, and then you can see the frontal system really bring that warm air by the time we get into Wednesday morning, really warm up western Washington. I shouldn't say really warm up, but it's going to warm us above freezing, so much of this precipitation will fall as rain. Mountain snows will continue. Strong front drapes down across Oregon here, and you can see that snowfall occurring as we go through Wednesday morning for portions of eastern Washington, northeast Oregon here as well. Now looking at snowfall totals here. Here goes the NAM 3KM. Actually, I'm running yesterday's model here. Let me just update this. I did not update it. Here we go. Hot off the presses here. 12Z NAM. You can see it does pick up a little bit of that snowfall falling this morning. Not too bad there by the NAM. As we go on to this afternoon, the heavier precipitation rates arrive this afternoon and evening. You can see some of that precipitation in the form of wet snowfall here north of Seattle, showing, I think that's Boeing Field there with a 1.8 inches. I don't know if we're going to get that much here all the way down to sea level there, but you can see some bigger precipitation amounts for southwest BC here, and especially the higher terrain. You get up in the hills at all, and you're really going to get some nice snowfall totals here across the area. But you can see Seattle South, lesser amounts, even though it is sticking a bit right now. Look at some of these totals through the Cascades of Washington down through Oregon. Just ridiculous amounts as that front sags south. You can see it really coat the Oregon Cascades as well as northeast Oregon. Big snowfalls here for mainly a line I-90 north here through eastern Washington. The higher terrain, you get up in those hills, and a lot of snow is coming here, folks. Now, as we go into Thursday morning, you'll notice a little bit of snowfall start to creep up here near the South Sound also. We're going to have another chance for some snowfall as we go into Thursday. We'll look at that probably a little more detail tomorrow, that next little wave moving through. Now, taking a look here, this is the Pacific Northwest. Let's back up here a little bit, and as we go through the day today, we'll look at the higher resolution model here in a moment. As we go through this afternoon, you can kind of see that area, Seattle North, highlighted there with the heavier precipitation amounts this afternoon. Big snowfall totals for the Cascades. Again, can't emphasize that enough. Heads up if you're traveling through the passes, Oregon, Washington, on through eastern Washington, Idaho, Montana. Big snowfall amounts coming up here, folks. And then you can see that as we go through the day Thursday into Thursday morning, painting some snow coming across the Puget Sound again in that next wave. But look at the snow as it moves on east. Really a nice winter storm, very dynamic system rolling through here for late November, early December. Now we're looking at the high resolution model here. This is the 1.33. It really picks up the terrain features quite well. As we go through this morning, it's doing a decent job at picking up some of the snowfall here, but it's a little bit late with it. It's falling a little bit earlier here across the region. But then as we go into this afternoon, you can see the better precipitation rates up here with a little bit of cooler and drier air. The further north you get, the warm front, as I showed you guys on that diagram the last few days here, kind of bullseye near the Everett area here, Port Townsend getting some good amounts. Hood Canal out here. As you get towards Sequim, also Highway 101, probably going to get some good precipitation amounts in the form of snow. And you can see the mountains just really piling it up here as we go on into Wednesday night. Going to Thursday morning, here comes that next wave. Look at it's bringing the South Puget Sound a nice little shot of snowfall here as we go through Thursday morning. You have to watch this closely. That could be kind of a significant snowfall as it actually changes the wind to northerly here, which could actually be kind of a disruptive thing. If we keep the temperatures below freezing with the north wind, move some cooler air in there, we could get some disruptive snowfall across the Puget Sound again through Thursday morning. We'll watch that closely because not all models are in agreement with this showing this wave moving through here on Thursday morning. Now this is looking at the European. Let's see what it says for snowfall. Picking up on that morning stuff here, but it might be a little bit late with it. Calling for kind of a half inch for Seattle. Then you can kind of see that rapid cutoff here. Heavy wet snowfall here. Now remember this is just the total snowfall. This is not the actual accumulated snowfall. It's not going to pile up this much across Everett and Seattle areas north. I'll show you something in here in a minute. It's going to be more accurate here for the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. Look at some of these amounts. Look at Paradise up towards 4 feet here as we go on in through Thursday night here. Some good amounts through northeast Washington, Oregon as well. Olympic Mountains, BC, the higher terrain just going to get hammered here. Now this is snow depth. So this is current snow depth. We go through the day today, and you can kind of see Seattle picking up a couple inches here, maybe some of the outskirts of Seattle. Everett picking up maybe 4 inches here, but you can see not the huge lofty totals that was showing across the area because the Puget Sound is relatively warm here, and we're not going to get that much snow accumulating right in the immediate vicinity of the Puget Sound there in this marginal snow event. You can see the higher terrain, though, really building up the snowpack here as we go on in through Thursday night and Friday morning here. So this would be snow depth, a more accurate representation of what kind of snow is going to be on the ground here as we go through later this week. Now looking at what's going on here from a wider view, North America map here, Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Here's the European on the left. The GFS is on the right here, 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. Polar lobe moving down, spawning today's storm system. You can see pretty good agreement, of course, in the short term. And you can see this trough kind of stays open here as we go on in through Thursday morning. That's that next snowfall potential here across some of western Washington. And of course, the higher terrain is going to get snow no matter what out of that. And then another lobe opens up here. This is a little bit too far south. It doesn't have the great trajectory for lowland snow here, but again, this could be another mountain snowmaker. But more polar lobes moving around the periphery here, and then on through the extended, we continue to remain in this dance with these polar lobes as they move across the area here. So we look to remain active here as we go on in through early December, and we'll continue to watch those day by day. Right now, we're just kind of concentrating on this one right here, this first polar lobe. That's the storm we're dealing with right now, and this could kind of remain around for a little bit of snowfall as we go on into Thursday morning across the area. But we'll look at some more details coming up here, and I'm going to do a live stream today, so I'm trying to get through this a little bit quickly today so I can get out there, find some areas where it's snowing, set up, and do a live stream for you guys, do some Q&A. But this is looking now at the European 850 millibars, 5,000 feet temperature anomaly. This is yesterday afternoon's run. Here's a GFS with its 5,000 foot temperature anomaly. You can see this storm system here. It's developed with this Arctic air spilling off the coastline here. And you can kind of see it hang around British Columbia here. It gets reinforced with another polar lobe here, the GFS. In some agreement here, the European a little more aggressive with the Arctic air down into the region here. This is going on into the following week here. And then the GFS says, we'll keep it cool around the area. But this is an ensemble run here. So it's kind of an average. It's going to get smoothed out like this. And this is the control ensemble on the European here, the most likely of the ensemble outcome. So it is showing us staying cool all the way through early December here across the region, which would be great for the mountain snowpack, if nothing else. Maybe a couple more chances at some lowland snow across the area. Briefly looking at California here. This is last night's European run. Frontal system still on track here to come across California. Bring some nice snows to the Sierra and some precipitation all the way down to Southern California here. We'll look at this really briefly here too. Here goes total precipitation. There goes our frontal system all the way down through the Bay Area, Sierra Nevada, all the way down through Southern California here with some good precipitation amounts through the higher terrain there. Now looking at snow depth across the entire west here. You can see this is current as of yesterday afternoon. Put this into motion here. You see some of that lowland snowfall across the Puget Sound, but look at the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. Sierra Nevada gets a nice snowfall. Northeast Oregon here, Rocky Mountains really piling it up here as we go on in through the extended forecast here. So nice base here for a lot of the ski areas as we go on in through early December. This should set the stage quite well on this La Nina year for some nice skiing across the Pacific Northwest and the Intermountain West here. Very nice. So anyway, this is the view from my house this morning here. You can kind of see nice snowfall. Excellent scene this morning. I mean, you can't ask for more, especially it's sticking on the street a little bit, not fully covering the roads or anything, but it is starting to cover the grass and any kind of wood areas and sticking on the houses pretty nicely here. Very nice scene to wake up to here this morning. This is what it's all about, right? This is what we want here in the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of snowfall, but not too disruptive, at least, you know, unless you're a kid and you want some snow days here. But I don't know if that's coming here today, but you never know here. You got to be careful. It can get slick pretty quickly. We were a little bit below freezing as the snow was falling here this morning. But anyway, I'm going to do a live stream today. I'm going to get my computer set up. Got a couple errands I got to run first, and I'm going to do a live stream. We'll do some Q&As when I'm out there. I'll try to find an area with some nice snow falling, and we'll try to check out what's going on out and about the Puget Sound here today. So yeah, get ready for the live stream at some point today. We'll do this again tomorrow. We'll check out that next little wave that's going to be moving through, potential for some more snowfall as we go through the end of the week here. So I hope you guys are enjoying that snowfall. If you see it falling out there yet, tweet it to me on Twitter here. We'll go ahead and do this again tomorrow morning. I'm going to live stream today again. Just thought I'd mention it one more time. But yeah, nice representation here in the infrared satellite imagery as the storm drags down across northwest North America here. Beautiful satellite imagery there. So yeah, we're in the thick of it here, folks. Hope you enjoy that. I'll talk to you guys in the live stream later on today. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.